Hey BookTube, this is the 2016 end of year bookish survey. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and this is part 4 of my 2016 end of year bookish survey. I know it's long, but lots of great questions. So here is part 4. I read 265 books last year. That went above and beyond what I had read in previous years. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that I read just Christmas stories in December, and a lot of those were novellas. So those were quick reads that I could get through. A lot of them were anthologies of 2 or 3 stories. So those took a little longer, but yeah, I was really surprised. My Goodreads goal was 200 books, so I kind of blew that out of the water. 176 of those books were audiobooks, so the majority. 68 were ebooks, 17 were print books from my shelves, and back here, this whole set of shelves, it goes from floor to ceiling, is full of books that I need to read. And of those books, only 17 came from the 265 that I read, which is ridiculous. That's 6%. It's just, that has to change this year. I really do need to read my own books. 4 of those were online novellas, and then 4 of the 68 ebooks were graphic novels. Again, that's a total of 265. 11 of those were rereads, and the genre that I read the most of was, big shock, romance. Yeah. The shortest book that I read last year was a short story called Significant Figures by Rachael Acks, and it is available online. You can find it there if you want to read it. It's sci-fi, and I've linked it below. And then the longest book that I read, I listened to, and that was City of Mirrors, which is book 3 in the Passage trilogy by Justin Cronin. It's narrated by Scott Brick, and it is 29 hours and 29 minutes long. That's actually not the longest book I've ever listened to, but that was pretty long. But it went really fast. It was an amazing book, and it didn't seem like it took that long. Something else to note is that when I talk about how long it took me to listen to a book, I speed books up now to at least 1.25, usually the speed. The only time I listen to them at normal speed is when I am swimming, because I have a little iPod Shuffle and I can't increase the speed on that one. So it doesn't really take me quite as long to listen to books as what it seems like, but I still spend a lot of time listening. When I added up the time I spent listening to all of the audiobooks, it came out to 1,831 hours and 4 minutes, which breaks down to 76 days, 7 hours and 4 minutes, or 10 weeks, 6 days, 7 hours and 4 minutes, or 2 months, 2 weeks, 6 days, 7 hours and 4 minutes. That's a lot of listening time. I probably do that and I sleep, and those are the 2 main things I do in my life. Fortunately, you can do a whole host of other things when you are listening. So yeah, it's a great way to read and get other stuff done. I say this all the time, but I wish more people would do it. I love audiobooks. There were so many new booktubers that I discovered this year that I'm just going to give you a list of ones that I watch all the time and that I love. I have to say this is not a comprehensive list because I find new people all the time and I don't want to exclude anyone. My favorite review that I did was for Uprooted by Naomi Novik, because I was able to talk about how much I loved the book, and I was able to insert some audio clips into the review so that you could see how great this narration was. And I really enjoyed doing that one. I also loved the book. I don't know that I had a best discussion. I did one on how audiobooks are just a format, and I think that was pretty well received. I think we had a good discussion about that, and so if I had to pick one, that would be it. I had the chance to go to BookCon in April in Chicago, and I had a blast. I got to meet some booktubers. I got to stay with some booktubers, like we shared a hotel room, and best of all, I got to spend time with my best book bud, Karen. I love her to pieces, and I'm hoping this year to go to Phoenix and go to the Tucson Book Festival, I think it is. With her, she goes every year. Phoenix gets some great book festivals, And so anyway, I'm really looking forward to that, to warm weather and time with Karen, my good friend. And I loved doing BookCon, and then the next day we did Chicago, so we had a blast. That would be on the first day of the Book Buddy-a-thon, when I started talking to Michaela at Love Michaela Eve. She and I talk every day, and we talk about books mostly, but we also talk about life and friends and just things in general. And we've just become really good friends. This continues to be a challenge for me, and that is just filming when I'm gone. I try and always hit my Friday reads, but this year it's been I'm in an airport, or I'm away from home around all kinds of people in my family, and I can't get a quiet moment, or I'm on the run, I'm like driving, or I'm on the fly. So that's hard. That continues to be a challenge that I keep having to conquer. Hopefully I'll conquer it better this year than I did last. I went back and looked on BookTube and your stats that you can look at, the analytics, and apparently the most well-received video that I had was one where I did a book haul in October, and I gave away some copies of a book by Rysa Walker called The Delphi Effect. I gave away a print copy and an audio copy, and I really hope those people are enjoying that book. I loved it. I did a review on it, and I would highly recommend it. And I think the second book in the series is coming out this year. I love talking to you in comments, and so every video that I do, I get to do that. So there really wasn't one post, like a video that I wished got a little more love than another one. It was fine. They all kind of evened out. I think my best bookish discovery kind of goes hand in hand with something that happened this past year, and that was that I entered the Book Blogger of the Year award contest as put on by the Audiobook Publishers Association. And initially they had limited that to bloggers, and so I emailed them and I said, you might want to include booktubers in that, because it's just a different format, but still reviews are being done and all kinds of things. And so they did. They changed their entry forms. And when they did, initially I thought, well, yeah, I wouldn't qualify for that. But then I thought more about it, and I thought, well, maybe I would. So I entered it, and I got second runner-up. I think, actually, that award, for me, was a nod to the inclusion of booktubers. So if you do audiobook reviews, I would encourage you to enter that this year. Have a look on Twitter. Kind of just keep an eye out on Twitter for that when it comes up, kind of at the around the time of BEA. And that opened a door for me to have publishers who have invited me to review books. And so I don't get review copies, I get audiobooks to review, which I think is fantastic. And I love doing it, I love reviewing them, and I love this opportunity to be able to do that. So that really is the biggest bookish find sort of thing that has happened to me this year. I just blew my Goodreads challenge all to pieces, but I kind of knew I was going to go beyond it anyway. So yeah, I just didn't quite think I was going to go as much beyond it as I did. But that's a goal that you should consider yourself a winner when you meet it. And if you're not going to meet your goal, then it's up to you. You can go in halfway through the year and change it to kind of reflect how your life is going. It should be something that you are able to look at and go, yay, I won. So, I always take that attitude. Like, I set it at 200 books. I think I'll probably go over it, but I always reserve the right to go in and knock it down if my life is changing in such a way that there's no way I'm never going to get to 200 books. Then I would knock it down. So, anyway, it's kind of fun to have blown that out of the water. I read 133% of the books that I challenged myself to read. So, yeah. So that's it for part 4 of my end of year bookish survey for 2016. Say that 10 times real fast. If you have any thoughts or comments about any of the books I've talked about, or any of the questions that I've talked about, then let's talk about that in comments, because you know how I love to talk to you. And I will be back with part 5. So until then, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.